Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Very warm welcome to another program of Coffee Table, aboard Coffee Table. Afghanistan and Pakistan are very close. If I say they are sort of cousin or twin countries, it would not totally be wrong. And the peace in these countries can be ensured, but it's a peace in togetherness. There need to be friendly relationship between the two countries. Otherwise, the power play has miserably failed during the last 30 years, 3 decades, and it will continue to fail. Now, if the power play continues, the fear is that the country is on the brink of another war, and that will have spillovers and repercussions not on Pakistan but on the whole region. And if I say on the peace of the international community, on the global peace, it would not totally be wrong. But what is the solution that can have buy-in from the major global powers and local population as well? We have today invited Mr. Ayaz Wazir. He don't need any introduction. He had been Ambassador of Pakistan to several countries, and he himself belongs to that patch of hinterland known popularly as FATA, which is still not included in Pakistan not has been mainstreamed, and it's not part of Afghanistan. So Ayaz Wazir sab, very warm welcome.
Thank you.
What is your basic premise on that?
It's a very complicated issue, and will take me or anyone very long to explain. But if you want to make it simple, I think it's the simplest issue also, if you look at it from that angle. Afghanistan is the focus of so many countries. It's a power play, as you said. It's a pursuance of national interest by so many. And that's why it has become so complicated. But simplest, I say it, because if Afghanistan and Pakistan understand each other's concerns or address each other's interest, the rest can be sorted out, and it will be, peace will return very soon. No doubt one understands there is the sole superpower sitting in Afghanistan. One can say that how can you make such a big statement without taking Americans into confidence? But my submission is that if Afghanis or if Afghanistan and Pakistan, if they are on the same page for return of peace to Afghanistan into the region, then the rest cannot derail it. They can make it difficult, no doubt. But once the two understand that where their interests lie and how that interest can be addressed, how can that be achieved, the rest will have to follow line. Otherwise, the problem will continue as it has for the past 40 years, because we are not coming close. There is a big trust deficit between Afghanistan and Pakistan. And people whose everything is in the war economy, they want to make this trust deficit further bigger, widen it as much as possible, because their everything lies in it. If we try to start narrowing it, and then obviously a time will come that we have bridged it. Once we have bridged it, once we have removed those non-state actors or those individuals whose interest is in the war economy, then we have won the battle.
Do you think that Pashtun have practically been disenfranchised in Afghanistan for the last many years, and no solution can, and even the beginning cannot be made unless the Pashtun side of Afghanistan is brought to the mainstream? I know that Ashraf Ghani is a Pashtun himself, but he doesn't represent the population, and that is one reason that the population find semblance of representation through militancy.
Well, I look at it from another angle. Look at the Bonn conference after 9/11. when Hamid Karzai was chosen to be the new leader of Afghanistan. Look at the development in Afghanistan before that. Taliban were in power, and Taliban were mostly considered to be Pashtun, majority of them, though they had other ethnicities also with them, but majority of them were Pashtun. And Bonn Conference completely sidelined or ignored the Taliban element and decided for Afghanistan without taking this chunk, which is, as you said, the majority. The remaining Pashtun in Afghanistan accepted the Bonn Conference, but they had no power. The power was shifted from the Taliban to the, if I can use the term for understanding of the listener, from Taliban it went directly to Northern Alliance. Northern Alliance was fighting till the last day against the Taliban, and they were limited to Panjshir Valley. And there was a time, I am a personal witness to those developments, but that one will be deviating from that Ahmad Shah Massoud even agreed to accept the Taliban rule provided he is allowed to run the Panjshir Valley for the Taliban himself.
And then he was killed.
So negotiations were going on, but then he was killed, though he is accepted, but he was killed, and that has now become a history. And thereafter, 9/11 happened, and we saw the Dostam type people coming on the American tent to come. And once they took over, obviously, they were not willing, and they are still not willing, to leave the important position in the government to those who deserved it. Only the face to the public, the face to the international world.
Do you think American understand that?
Well, I think American understand it, but they have their own games. They are not stupid as so many people think that they do not understand the politics in Afghanistan. They do understand, but they have their own interest. They are not worried as to who is in majority or who should be in power. That, as you rightly said, the majority are Pashtun. Pashtun should be running the show in Afghanistan. But then look at it, how the Pashtuns are divided. As I said, Taliban were set aside in Bonn Conference. The remaining little bit, siding with Karzai and the others, came to join the government. So the Pashtun community was divided and still is divided into two. Why can't that be brought into one, that Taliban also make a deal, reconciliation or whatever you may call, with the government in Afghanistan? That can easily be done. I have no doubt about it. But I go again and again and again and again to what I said in the beginning. If Islamabad and Kabul comes closer, if you have not brought Kabul and Islamabad closer, the Taliban element or the peace return to Afghanistan or to the region
would be very fragile,
would be almost impossible.
You are saying that somehow Pakistan is involved in it. Are you saying that?
Obviously, look, Pakistan is not only the immediate neighbor, as Hamid Karzai once said, and very rightly, that it's not only a kind of a twin, it's a conjoined twin. Conjoined twin, you know, is the one which cannot be separated. So Afghanistan and Pakistan are so close in every respect. They have so much in common that no other country that I know of has in common with another country.
Even India and Pakistan, no?
Unfortunately not, because there we have the religious difference. Here with Afghanistan we have no problem in whatever field you may name it. Ethnic, religious, cultural, every side we are much closer. But then actors have come in and succeeded in creating trust deficit between us after 9/11. Before 9/11, this trust deficit was not so strong, was almost non-existent, or if that was there, it was just at the lower level, not affecting the policy between them.
US is, as you know, the Eurasia is emerging, China, Russia and all the other countries, and then one belt, one road. And so the economic power, economic axis is shifting from west to east. And do you think that is one reason that the United States or the West generally want India to become central in Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is a roadway to everywhere, and India has its own interest, and they are somehow creating this trust deficit?
Well, I would look at it this way, that every state pursues its own interest. America obviously is pursuing its own interest. India is doing its own. Pakistan is doing its own. And with the time, the goalposts keep on changing. If you look at the American policy in Afghanistan, we see them standing hand in glove with Pakistan in Afghanistan to check the Russians out. Thereafter, to some extent, but then things have changed, and the interest of Pakistan and the interest of America in Afghanistan have changed, and it's growing or changing, or the gap is growing much bigger.
Right.
And it has come to almost of no trust between the two. Now, how would the American look at it from their angle? How would they pursue their interest in Afghanistan without Pakistan, or with very little support of Pakistan? What options are left? Options are Iran, Central Asia, which are the immediate neighbor of Afghanistan, or China, the immediate neighbor of Afghanistan. India is not immediate neighbor of Afghanistan. But since India has old relations with Afghanistan, even before the creation of Pakistan,
it was India.
It was India, exactly. So they had relation. The only period that I see that the Indians were not in Afghanistan was the Taliban period. They were checked out. That's why they stood behind the Northern Alliance and waiting in the wing. And once the Northern Alliance came in power in Afghanistan, though it is not called Northern Alliance, obviously it's the government in Afghanistan recognized by the world body. But all those leaders who were then in the Northern Alliance are a part of this, except for the head, which was Karzai, and now Ashraf Ghani as a Pashtun, to give it a face of acceptance to the world body, or to
give it a wrong face.
Exactly. Now, in that case, America is pursuing its own interest. India is a big power, no doubt. Let's not deny the fact. It's a fact, whether one likes it or not. India is a power. It's a regional power, and India's relation with China are known. American relation with China are known. So to contain China, as you rightly said, the future belongs to this region, to Asia. Now, in Asia, who should be calling shots tomorrow? In my assessment, nobody can snatch it from China, from Russia, from Pakistan if they join together.
Which
they are closing closer, because the others are making alignments, India, America, and trying to, I don't know, Afghanistan also, but I have my doubt if Afghanistan would stand solidly in this or stay in this group. They are watching their own interests. They have no...
Right. So here we take a break, and after the break, we'll discuss the roadmap to peace, and if it's not possible, if the disaster soars in further, what can be its dimension, because nobody knows it and only we can guess. So please stay with us.
It's diverse.
It's original.
It's SDTV.
Welcome back. Ayaz Wazir Sahab, let's first discuss the disasters so we can end this discussion on a good note. Do you think there is a serious danger that Afghanistan may break down on ethnic lines?
Well, I don't think Afghanistan will break down so easily as so many think. Because if Afghanistan was to break down, I think
the time is gone.
The time was ripe when the Taliban were coming up, particularly when the Mazar-e-Sharif debacle happened in 1997.
Right.
Taliban went in, took over, were pushed out, killed, thrown out, and then they came again in 1998.
And then they butchered everyone.
They butchered. So the Mazar-e-Sharif incident tells you that it should have been immediately declared, or Ahmad Shah Massoud or Rabbani for that matter, who was then president of Afghanistan, considered by the World Party, should have said, North is gone, no more with the South. But Afghanistan has one thing good. I'll give you my own experience as an example. At that time, we were doing shuttle diplomacy between the Taliban and the leaders of the Northern Alliance. We used to fly to Kandahar, to Mazar-e-Sharif, to Central Asia to meet these people. Ahmad Shah Massoud also. When we would go to Ahmad Shah Massoud, these are his words. He said, I am fighting against Mullah Umar for the solidarity and integrity of Afghanistan. And when we would go to Mullah Umar, he would say, I am doing this for the solidarity and integrity of Afghanistan. They both were fighting a war, but Afghanistan was a common factor between the two. Nobody was willing
to leave the other part.
Exactly, to go for a breakup of Afghanistan. And I don't see any reason why shouldn't it stay together in future also. There is, in my assessment, the assessment now is that, well, South has been developed, Mazar-e-Sharif and the other area, it's peaceful. It's less Pashtun there, mostly non-Pashtun area.
Persian speaking.
And South
speaking.
is, exactly. But they have all along worked that way. South has all along been dominated by the non-Pashtun group. Though Amanullah Khan and thereafter Nader Shah, they tried to implant Pashtuns in these areas. Vast lands were given to them to sort of make it not exclusive zones for any.
Make it homogeneous somehow.
Exactly. That effort was made, but still majority in South is that of non-Pashtun. But I personally feel there is no chance of a breakup, or if the breakup happens, let's not completely rule out, then it will not be limited to Afghanistan.
Yeah, that would be regional. And that's why I was asking you, if Afghanistan is not breaking up, then I personally understand that Iran, Pakistan at least, and India, they are not going to break up either without Afghanistan.
Well,
it is very difficult.
Look, if we look at the maps that were published, I think in Los Angeles Times and some other newspaper,
prepared in Brookings,
2025, I think they said Pakistan will no more be there on world map. But we are very close almost to 2025, and there is no such sign.
Rather, it has consolidated.
Exactly. That cannot happen unless you begin with the Middle East, where the powers that be that have tried
and failed
to change geography in Middle East, to make a beginning, bring it down to Central Asia, to South Asia, and make new entities. But in Middle East, they have badly failed.
Even in Libya.
Exactly. If you bring it to Afghanistan, bring it to Pakistan, Iran, how would you break these countries?
Very difficult.
Without first beginning with the weaker one, which today happens to be Afghanistan. But no Afghani is willing, be that pro-Taliban, against Taliban, pro the government, against American, pro-American.
And then other powers like China and others, and Russia, they are supporting those factions which are not allowing them to break them. Then what is on the peace side?
Well,
let's take a break, and after the break we'll discuss the peace side. We take a break here, and after the break we'll continue discussion and come to the actual roadmap for the peace, if there is any. So please stay with us.
It's diverse.
It's original.
It's SDTV.
welcome back. I just want to ask you two very specific things. What should Pakistan do? And what is the roadmap in Afghanistan for peace?
Look, Pakistan, as I said in one reply to one of your questions, that countries do change their positions according to the prevailing situation. Pakistan should also look at its Afghan policy seriously. It cannot stay to where it was, say, 10 years back.
Right.
5 years back, even 1 year back.
Right.
Things are changing very fast.
Very fluid.
And you have to keep changing your position also with it. If you are following, if you are stuck with what you have been doing, then you are stuck with it.
Then you are inertial guided.
Then unfortunately, you will not be in peace, they will not be in peace.
Right.
Peace will come to the region if you make a little move from your past position, reconsider your relation with Afghanistan, and make it flexible to bring in new element, accept new development in that region. As we often say or hear in Pakistan that peaceful Afghanistan is in the interest of Pakistan, the same Afghanis say.
You know, Allama Iqbal has said,
Exactly.
a region cannot be peaceful unless peace comes to Afghanistan.
He has said a very famous Persian, that couplet or whatever you may call it, that the Asian region explanation he gives, that in Asia, Afghanistan is like a heart in the body of a human being.
Yeah, right.
Afghanistan is the heart. If the heart is healthy, the body is healthy. If the heart is sick, the body is sick.
Yeah, he said.
That is what Iqbal says. And that absolutely is right. Afghanistan is in trouble. We can help a lot, no doubt about it. America understands, as you said before starting our recording, that the Americans have now realized that without Pakistan help we cannot achieve peace, leave alone winning the war in Afghanistan. Now, Pakistan should also realize that alone it cannot be a master of the destiny in Afghanistan. There are other players also. They have deep interest inside Afghanistan. Pakistan is also to be accommodative of that. And on that
mention one of them.
Like the Americans are sitting there, they will not go out unless their objective are achieved. Now, Pakistan, knowing the fact that America is a sole superpower, no doubt we cannot compete in so many things with that. But within that, we can make a move without denying them to come closer to Afghanistan. Afghanis and Pakistanis, this is my concluded opinion, you cannot bring peace or restore peace in Afghanistan without Kabul and Islamabad coming very, very close to each other. Peace is in the interest.
What is the roadmap?
The roadmap is, it will take me much longer, but I'll try to be as brief.
Give me first thing, what should we do now?
The roadmap is that you have to sit with the Afghan government and agree upon one principle. And that principle is that let's not go into the past.
That is done. But let's come to the realities. What you do, that Daesh which is being, thrown out of the Middle East, is coming close to our border in Kunard, in Nuristan, in Nangarhar, and if you don't stop them there, meaning by that you don't resist them there militarily, they will come here and then your army would be fighting in Khyber agency, in Padachin and all that. And Pakistan is, is good enough with the groups which are resisting them.
Look,
and Taliban are resisting them.
That is one way, but look at it from the other angle also. America and NATO at one time were present with full might in Afghanistan, and they wanted to eliminate the Taliban, eliminate militancy. Could they make it? They failed. So power alone cannot deliver. The army or the forces, they can weaken the enemy.
But keeping them busy there would take them off from here.
But that would not disengage you totally. You have also to be You have also to be in that position of sitting on the gun always.
Yeah.
Now, relax, remove the gun from in between.
How?
Win the trust. That is what I was coming to.
Okay.
But we
Okay.
changed. What, in my assessment, the best course would be leave the past, that is gone. Now, the two leaders in Pakistan and Afghanistan should sit together and decide on one thing. We need peace, and in the process, in that way, there are so many obstacles. There are non-state actors, there are individual actors, there are state actors, which are derailing us, which are trying to widen the trust deficit between us. We would not be derailed, come what may. God forbid, if there are 100 explosions in Pakistan, 200 explosions in Afghanistan, we are not going to accuse each other, because today we promise we as the two governments will not support any activity against each other, anything wrong against each other. We would be hand in gloves against militancy in Afghanistan and in Pakistan together. Other actors would keep on derailing us, but we would not accept it. We would keep on fighting. That will take some time, because the people or the actors are very, very strong. Everything depends on continuation of the war. So for that you have to have a very strong will, commitment between the two governments. Once you achieve that, the rest can follow. But how can you achieve this is a billion-dollar question.
Yeah, just to the fag, and before we end the program, would you, for the benefit of those who cannot understand the policy initiative or had difficulty, or they are just beginning to understand, would you name 5 important people in Afghanistan and 5 important people in Pakistan who should sit together now, today, as of today?
I would avoid naming anyone.
From
it's not for me.
5 important groups in
but
Afghanistan.
I tell you, there is no dearth of people who can deliver, but on the quiet. What we always make a mistake is we bring it to the media.
Yeah, we shout too much.
Shout too much. Don't shout. Leave it. Say, like you said, 5 people from Pakistan, 5 people from Afghanistan. But those people whose sincerity to the cause, whose integrity is known to their respective governments, let these 10 people on the quiet work on this project, and I have no doubt they'll find a way. Just to give you one small example of that, if you recall, Ashraf Ghani was not coming to the Heart of Asia conference here in Islamabad. But when he invited a Pashtun delegation and they discussed with him, they persuaded him to go to France and meet your Prime Minister over there, and then he agreed to come and attend not only the Heart of Asia conference in Islamabad, but agreed on the quadrilateral contact group, which is the right wheel of doing it if you follow it. Yeah. So such a group, I agree with you, can deliver.
Last question, yes or no, are you hopeful?
Well, I am certainly, provided the two governments are serious to come to...
No, without giving any qualification, without qualifying.
I am certainly hopeful, because, look, there is a famous saying in Pashto, I don't know how to translate it into English, that if you fight for 100 years, at the end of 100 years, you will still come and sit around the table and find a solution and negotiate. So there is always a hope.
Right. So thank you very much with last these words, that there would be a tabled solution. The solution need to be tabled, and they need to sit together on a very, tasty and good, they call it kava, that gives you aroma all the time. So with this, we hope that things come to a place where it is good for everyone. We say goodbye, next time, next guest, and next topic. So please keep watching our programs.